What's up? Happy Friday night.
How y'all doing tonight?
It's Ask Jess and Reed, and I'm super excited to be here. How about you guys?
He's so stinking excited. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Q&A night.
It is.
And
so
did you want to play a song for a minute? That's what
I could, so we can have the questions roll in.
Right, so we can have the questions roll in, and
fantastic.
we have some really exciting stuff going on. Because you don't know what you don't know until you know,
and then you know.
Right. And then so I'm gonna check and make sure we're streaming in all the properties. Take it for a second.
Yeah. Wow, I need a haircut. Oh, quarantine.
Okay, there we are. We're on your page.
Yeah, I'm not feeling lean.
Okay, we're in trauma breakthrough.
I hope you're not in quarantine.
There we are.
If you want to know how to get through, this is how you do it with Jess and Reed.
Oh, man, there. Unmute. Our mic keeps doing this, and I don't like that.
That's not okay.
I don't know what's going on.
Can we put it on just the webcam?
We can put it on the webcam. It might need you. We're back. Are you back? Can you hear us, y'all? Let's see. Let's make sure we have the audio going. Yep, it looks like it's going on this end.
Drop a comment if you can hear us clearly.
Yes, let us know if you can hear us because we're still learning how to use StreamYard. But look at this. Oh, wow, how do I do this? This way. Look at I can't point at our things.
I can watch.
There we are, right there.
I'm not pointing
at it. And then other here. Look at this. I need forward. Go. We have our names.
Yeah, I'm pretty. You know what? This was like the last time when I gave myself a haircut. This is how I was at the back side of my head. It was like
like that.
Yeah. Okay. Over there. My hair is over there.
Can't figure out where the things are, but we did that, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
If y'all have any questions, you have to click that link that says StreamYard so we can see your comments because it's a Q&A show. Like, let's do some Q&A, and we had this amazing breakthrough moment. It wasn't a breakthrough. It was more like an epiphany where it was like, you don't know what you don't know. And then, and everything changes suddenly. Yeah, that happened. And then we took like immediate action on it, which was so super awesome and fun.
Yeah, we did. We jumped on it like flies on rice.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was with our business. Like we've been doing these one-on-ones and everything's been totally awesome. And we've been loving it, but it just felt like everything wasn't quite clicking the way we wanted it to.
Yeah.
Like we were so close, but it wasn't quite there. And
yes.
Then, okay, so here's what happened. We talked to some people.
Oh, I don't want to interrupt, but guys, if you're just hopping on right now, this is Q&A with Jess and Reed, J&R.
J&R.
So drop your comment, drop your question below. It doesn't matter how crazy your question is. We're here to answer your question tonight. We're trauma and relationship breakthrough coaches. And this is what we like to do to have fun. And
it's a good time.
Right? So
I like a good time.
So the questions should give us a good time, right?
Right?
We had some interesting questions last time about aliens. And I'm not an ancient alien astronaut expert, but I still answered the questions the best I could, and so did Jess.
Hi! So you have questions, you have to click on that StreamYard link because that's what they do. Like in order for us to see the comments, just click on it because we're streaming in a number of different locations. And that's how they do it, technology and all that good stuff. But we had this amazing breakthrough like last night and this morning. And then we pivoted our entire business in the last 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I am more excited than I've ever been because it's finally what I know we're supposed to be doing. And it's the parenting, it's everything all in one. Hi, Lynn. She says, hello, speed and nitro. That's
right.
That's what it feels like when you hit your mojo. Like you just, and that's what I'm feeling. Like I am just, I've been off the chain all day.
Like Turbo the Snail on nitrous.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I just tell them? Can I tell you guys a little bit?
Let's do this.
Okay, what are we doing? We're doing a Q&A. So if you have any questions, well, that is a question. So what are we doing? So we have been doing one-on-one trauma breakthrough relationship coaching, which is really more like family coaching, because it's one thing to feel better in you.
Yeah. Then
you have this person.
Yeah.
And then you have this thing. And then when you have kids, it's even more crazy things.
Yeah. So backstory, I met Jess when she was like really on fire, like I'm getting healing in my life and all this stuff, and was super transparent, something like I'd never seen in my life. And so I was like, I gotta be best friends with this person. Ended up marrying her 16 years later. We're sitting here. But we've gone through hell and back together. We've had
it's been so fun.
Incredible businesses.
Even in hell.
Done amazing things. Fallen and gotten back up over and over and over again.
Way more times than you should have to.
So there was a moment in her life where Jess spoke a lot, and she created programs that helped tons of survivors of trafficking, and really helped foster systems around the U.S. And so But
hold on.
Yes.
Back it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because when I was going through this process of understanding how to coach and mentor trauma survivors, I was actually doing a lot of trainings at the same time. Like I was attending them, but then I was speaking and training a lot of people. And it was at the very beginning of the anti-trafficking movement. And there was this huge problem that came up that nobody could really foresee. Well, I'm sure someone could have, but no one in the network that I was in, and it was a really expansive network. Yeah. What the problem was is people would come in and they'd be like, we really want to help. We want to mentor people. Yeah. We want to change lives. We want to help. And then we see that also in all the helping industries, is that people who want to help, like they really step forward. That's why we have so many coaches. That's why we have so many people in heart-centered businesses.
Yeah.
But what we saw within the anti-trafficking stuff was that the people who came forward still had their own healing work and their own breakthrough work and their own stuff that they need to do. Like they really wanted to help and really wanted to make a difference. Yeah. And they did, and they would, but first they had to walk through all of these other things first.
Yeah. And
so that meant we started creating these healing curriculums, and then you have to go through the healing, and then you go through the how to help, and
there was a lot of pain in there. I remember
there was so much pain.
Like Jess and I are like, here's how we can help ourselves. Nice.
I asked what to measure on the door behind us.
I don't know. I wish I knew.
72 inches?
You mean in height? I don't know.
72, 84?
82 and
80
and 3/4 inches is normally the standard height of a door. Just to let you know. I have to measure
that was about
things.
30 inches wide.
Right, I have to measure these things so I don't hit my head.
We have ADD.
Take myself out.
We both have ADD tonight.
So we had to go through a lot of painful experiences to get there. Like,
right.
Where we would be like, okay, we found our joy. Like we were able to heal through some really intense childhood trauma and a lot of adult experiences. And now we're even having success with some of these really great groups like co-ed recovery groups where people are getting results super fast. Right. And their lives are changing. And we called that breakthrough because it was like, we're going from pain to pleasure. We don't want to be stuck in this healing fatigue, and healing's great. Healing's what we do our entire life. Right. Like you think about when you work your muscles out, like they tear, right? You got to break them down in order to build them up. That's what healing is. We got to expect that there's healing out there, right? Right. Well,
but when you have to step forward with a heart to serve, but then when we're glowing red with love. Yeah, I'm always red. Fun like that. But when you step forward and have a true heart to serve, most people who have a heart to serve have a story.
Yeah.
And like when you get in and start doing the work, it's always harder to do it on yourself than it is on others. And then we figured out how to do it on ourselves. That's why we do self-healing.
Yes.
But the amazing thing was that we ended up doing so many programs where it was train the trainers, teach the teachers, teach the teachers. And our big epiphany that we had was that we are a coach for coaches. Because every single person that has come to us as we've been doing these one-on-ones, they're also like entrepreneurs or coaches. And that's really who it's been our heart's desire to serve. But, okay, here's the kicker that we didn't know. The thing that we didn't know because we didn't know was certification. I thought that in order to like create a program where there's a certification, that you had to have like some, I don't know, governmental authority or something. And we were, I don't know. I know the reality is we were talking with one of our friends today and she's like, you can throw a t-shirt on a dog and call it a coach. But we were in a meeting, was it yesterday or the day before? And this guy was explaining his program and he's like, yeah, I'm going to start certifying coaches. And I was like, huh? You can do that?
Yeah.
Like you can just teach people your stuff and then certify them. And when the model is proven, it's proven. And that's what we did over and over. We proved the model over and over and over. We ran pilot programs.
Yeah, I know you're super excited and I am too, but I wanted to share why this is so important to me.
Can
and why
I just finish that point?
Me. Yes,
please?
Go for it.
Okay, as soon as I finish that point, I will. Okay,
yeah.
So it really just came down to that there was a world that opened up to us that we didn't even know existed. And it was that we've always done this, like really taught the teachers, but like didn't even think about it as a realm of possibility that we could do it in that way. And then, you know, we've been doing online programs for 11 years. So marketing and sales and online systems, those are our jam. And so it made so much sense. So we did a huge pivot today and it's so much fun.
Right.
Respect my authority. Yeah. I don't know what that means.
It's respect.
Yeah, well, you can have it.
I was actually giving some context.
You can have the platform.
Oh, you're great. Respect. Thanks for sticking up for me. I really appreciate you being here, by the way. I shouldn't be making fun of people who get on.
Well, I couldn't figure out what it meant, but now I'm seeing it. And I'm like, okay, this is just, we're married on camera and off camera. This is just how we live.
Right. So we had this moment where, I don't know if you've ever been in this point in your life where you're just looking for answers and you have to find the answer because it's something you're passionate about. Well, trauma breakthrough is what we were passionate about. And there was this opportunity to be a part of a program. And it was being piloted by these people who are really well known. And so we're like, okay, we got to get into this program because we can get certified. And we can see the levels of certification and see how it was really working well for some people. Like the certification was really helping them be seen and known and really get some traction in their community.
It was the training that was attached to the certification.
Right. So we had a lot of trust built in the training. Right. Because we didn't want just to have this certification of, wow, look, we did this, and so that makes us special. Although that does make you feel special because you actually went through it and you learned it. Right. But when we got into the program, we realized that it wasn't working for us. Not only was it not working for us, it was hindering the people that were in the personal group that I was in. And I came in as somebody who had been helping people for a long time. And this was to support our business and our nonprofit, to be able to understand people on a greater level. And I come in and I'm going, when are you going to show me something? When are you going to challenge me? When are you going to give me an opportunity? And instead, I was seeing a lot of people get hurt. I was seeing a lot of people fall away.
over and over and over again.
When the deaths started rolling in, when things started to completely go to shit.
Hold on, you said that without a breath. When the deaths started to roll in.
Yeah.
We have been a part of programs that have, like, we have done a program, and it's like, just as a participant, and then when you see other people like fall victim to it, and it's like, man, that's ugly. There are some messed up programs out there.
It was very, very ugly. And there were actually a few other programs that we jumped into earlier on in our life and just felt this disappointment of not being challenged.
Right.
Not being
or the program just not working, which is why I started developing programs, was because I just kept hearing from all the people I was working with over and over, they're not working. The programs aren't working. The recovery programs aren't working. So I started developing programs, and then we piloted them over and over and over again, and they worked over and over and over again. And so she says, oh my God, I still get this. And first, authority. I didn't get it until that comment. So thank you. Like, we love you. You're awesome.
There's an accent in here.
Right?
Oh, park authority.
I so get this. Getting stuck on the when do you do this and that. Always waiting. You got to do it right. You just have to act now and do it. Yeah. And we learned so much on that journey. And it wasn't until we had some really deep times that we decided to even jump back into this, because it's a heavy weight when you're teaching people, and it was just so hard. It was so hard to watch people get hurt over and over, which is why we just built something different. And it's because information is timeless. And what works has worked forever, because humans have been the same for a really long time.
Yeah,
it's not like trauma is new. It's not like mental health is new. Yeah. What's new is the word mental health. Right. And that's what's new, is these industries that weren't here 200-300 years ago.
No.
And
they weren't. I mean, they were doing lobotomies in the 1960s. I mean,
it's just 80 years ago. We were still doing lobotomies.
I mean, as a normal, as a standard approach to helping somebody with what's
it wasn't
traumatic.
Standard. It was standard in the 40s and 50s. It started to weed out in the 60s. But that is stupid.
It is stupid, Jess. It's not a good idea. So as we advance.
So what is coming out in the next 24 hours is we are launching the Super Powered Coaches Certification Program and Mastermind. Yes. I'm so freaking excited.
It is a mouthful, but it's also an incredible place to be able to gain the support, encouragement, and the training in order to take your coaching.
Yeah.
What you're serving people right now, and we're here to come alongside of you. Not only that, but in a group setting, in a mastermind, you have so much more strength, you have so much more insight, and you have so much power to change your clients' lives.
Right, and to change your life in the process, because when your life changes, it just changes everyone around you. And so we're doing a 5-week pre-launch. It actually starts July 1st, and it will be a year-long program. But if you're working with clients already, you will have immediate tools to be able to help them better. Yeah. But so it starts July 1st. It's an annual program. Yeah. And then we are doing it to where during the launch, it's rolling up every week in price. So the earlier you get in, the earlier, the cheaper it is for you. Yeah. But there's only 14 spots available, because we are working one-on-one and like mastermind setting and one-on-one, whatever we need to make this just be absolutely epic for you. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's everything we ever did, but that means we're not going to be doing the one-on-ones.
No.
However, we're still going to keep doing the parenting program because we love the parenting program.
Yeah, so it's
Superpowered Parents.
Yes, Superpowered Parents is here to stay because Superpowered Parents is part of the whole entire program. It's what Jess and I have been so passionate about for so many years. 16 years. When I met Jess, she had an incredible little girl like her that did this. She just did exactly what the little 2.5-year-old did nearly 16 years ago. She did this little thing, and
there's so much joy.
Yeah, there is so much joy, Jess. So I had this strange opportunity. I grew up in a huge family, and I jumped directly into parenting. So I'm in this new situation, and I'm with this crazy woman, this crazy amazing woman here, who is super transparent, and it's like the thing we did immediately is one of the first things we did is she's trying to distract me, but she's not going to pull it off. If you have any questions, this is Q&A with Jess and Reed. This happens every Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And, yeah. So since the beginning, this was not Jess.
So
I just want to let you know, in the beginning, this was not Jess. I was the goofball who was always.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love Tigger. I'm so pointy too.
Yeah.
The problem is I'm all the characters.
The wonderful thing about Jess is she's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Yeah.
And I'm like so excited because it all makes sense finally. Yeah. When everything just clicks, it just clicks.
I call it the stars aligning, Jess.
Right. So if you're actually interested in this, let us know. Send one of us a message and we'll give you the details. It is so fun and so amazing, and I've been banging it out today.
Yeah.
And July 1st, it is on, and it will transform not just your life, but your business, and be able to set you on fire with the most simple tools that help you and your clients.
Yeah.
And that is so fun.
So we can go from trauma to breakthrough, find your healing pattern, your story, and then boom, that's marketing. Literally.
It actually goes.
Okay.
It's 4 segments.
Okay. Yes.
I've been writing it.
I coupled them. I stuck them together. I wasn't supposed to stick them together.
So in the annual program,
yes,
it is 4 distinct segments. Yeah. It is breakthrough, then it is healing, then it is story, because story is so stinking important, because when you have access to your story, healing and breakthrough are one thing. It's awesome to be happy. It's cool. It's cool to be happy. But when you're able to share your stories and utilize your story to help other people, it becomes so much more powerful. And being able to articulate those stories in a way that is helpful for you, helpful for your client, helpful for your audience, it's priceless. But then we take those stories and we turn it into the marketing so that you can then feed your machine, and it just continues. And so it's 4 elements: breakthrough, healing, story, marketing. And it's all the tools we started building. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 17 and trafficked because I learned from my pimp. But he kind of set the stage for all of this. And
talk about a crash course.
Right. Well, and so much gratitude. That's the beauty, is that once you move past the pain, once you move past all of the healing, you can actually utilize those stories, but then also find the benefits from your trauma.
Yeah.
And so just because I was trafficked into the sex industry doesn't mean that I only have the negatives. I have all the positives too. And some of the positives are Like when my peers were smoking weed behind the gym, I was traveling the country learning sales, marketing, negotiation, like everything that you need in order to be able to operate a business. He just exploited it and did it the wrong way. So there's that.
So
oh, she says, Reed, you're gorgeous too. So funny.
Aw, thank you.
I'm just gonna get a hold of the reins right now, right? No, you don't have to be a prisoner of your past at all. In fact, there's so much freedom that's available. But it's moving through the phases. And honestly, it's so much easier to want to be motivated to get through some of the dark healing.
Yeah.
If you know you can gain access to those stories so that you can help other people.
Yes.
Like it actually makes the healing have a purpose.
Yeah.
And when there's a purpose behind the healing, behind those breakthroughs, and you know that you have an amazing life right on the other side, man, it makes it so much easier.
It's suddenly like everything just starts to fall in place.
Right.
You know, like the Matrix, except that it's all working for you. I just came up with that right now.
What if you can control the Matrix?
What if you can control the Matrix? What if you see the Matrix and you just tap into it? Like Neo did in the Matrix. He became the Matrix, which is a really funny thought because I believe that every one of us we have a passion, right? We have something that's waiting for us. Like we have people to serve.
Right.
And our stories, like when we unlock our stories, when we're able to get to the root of why we do what we do, that's creating these roadblocks that we don't want there. When we're able to remove those and get to the crux of our story, it might not even be the most painful parts of your story.
Right.
Like the nuances of your story, the parts that you want to be able to tell, and you want to be able to just creatively help your client understand what it is that you do.
Right.
That's what we're talking about. We're getting down deep.
And it works with every niche, which is what is so amazing. It's like we work with families because we see the significance of it, but you don't have to work with families. You can work with anyone because the tools that we use work for absolutely anyone. You have to work with humans. If you work with humans, then you're going to be good. Yeah. Oh, look at that. I am 41 in 4 days. Okay, hold on. I just have to keep right there. I got to keep my muscles tensed. The
whole time, Jess.
I saw Flavo arm. Keep my muscle tense. That right there. Okay. My high weight is 330 pounds, so I'm okay with a little flab. Are you willing to share the bonuses of your story, Jess? Oh, yeah, totally. I have shared my story thousands of times.
I like how she asked the bonuses.
The bonuses.
I love bonuses. We talk about bonuses a lot.
Yeah, bonuses are awesome.
Yeah.
So I was sexually abused when I was 4 and 5. And it gave me, so first I was sexually abused by 3 neighbor boys. I was 4 and 5. They were 13, 15, and 19 years old. And my first memory was like this out-of-body experience where I was being sexually abused for the first time. And then my last time with those same 3 was like actually remembering having sex and then having orgasms, because like I didn't know that sex was wrong. I didn't know that you weren't supposed to have sex. I was 4 and 5 years old. No one tells then, like this was 1983 and 84. No one tells young kids then that what appropriate touch was, what wasn't. And so I just had no clue that that was wrong or not okay. Yeah. And here's the other thing. A 13-year-old boy doesn't wake up one day and go like, geez, I'm sick of playing my Atari. I think I'm going to go screw the girl next door. And
by the way, if you haven't received a trigger warning yet, that was your trigger warning. About 10 seconds earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Also, real quick, Jess, you're going to just instantly be intrigued. Jess has a book coming out the 29th of June. And it's called Everything I Know I Learned from My Pimp. I'm Not the Pimp, if you haven't figured that out already.
Right. Plot twist.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Take it away, Jess. So at 13.
13, like a 13-year-old boy doesn't wake up and be like, geez, I'm sick of playing my Atari. I think I'm going to go have sex with the girl next door. Like, that's not healthy. Someone taught them love in the same way they were showing me love, and it doesn't make it okay. So not okay. But it makes it understandable. It made me, in looking back, go, oh, I see that there's generational cycles. I see that there's problems that we only address, like when abuse happens in cycles, and it always does.
Yeah,
you only really have 3 choices. You either continue to do it and you pass the abuse on to the next generation, or you speak up like we are, and you take a strong stance and you say no more, or you just don't talk about it at all.
Yeah.
And it's in those negative spaces, like the not negative, like positive negative, but negative like a camera, like 35 millimeter film. Like you have these blank spaces, and it's in those blank spaces that actually some of the most damage occurs, because it's from being not seen, not cared for, not understood, not addressed. So it not only did I understand from that experience of being sexually abused, 1, that generational cycles are real. 2, how to forgive people, not for them, but for me, because I can make the trauma understandable, and I can see why things happen. And when I understand why, it makes it to where I can just let go. I can forgive myself. And then when I think about myself having orgasms when I was just a little girl, that is so common and actually not shared much at all, unless you get like really deep into childhood sexual abuse. But the validation that that's a really common experience and that it adds a layer of shame. But really, our bodies are designed, created, spawned, I don't know, however we got here, however the ancient alien experts agree. However we got here, we are supposed to be sexual. And so when that gets turned on like a light switch, when you're young, of course it's going to feel good because we're sexual beings. But wait, there's more.
There's more.
I learned more lessons.
Yes, you did.
The disassociation that I experienced, that out-of-body experience where I wasn't inside myself and I was seeing me from above, in that same thing, I learned how to use healthy disassociation to help me heal from lots of other pain, to help me apply logic to my trauma instead of just the emotions that were bottled up in my core. And so, do you see how you can learn so many different lessons? You can get so many amazing perks from just one series of events. Now, I went through and I've had to do that with every different element because, like, my dad was murdered when I was 10, and it was a homicide-suicide. So the guy who killed my dad killed himself. And he was only 17 when he killed my dad and killed himself. And so, like, we have another minor involved. And then my pimp and his story. And then, like, there are so many different elements. But as you learn to walk through them with ease, it makes it to where you can unlock those stories, learn the things that you need to learn, be able to share it with other people. And you get so amazing to watch other people have breakthroughs, to watch other people have freedom, find joy on the other side. And then to be able to laugh, because that was all I ever really wanted, was to just have a good time and enjoy life. I just wanted to be free. I didn't want to have to deal with that shit forever. I don't like being triggered. Who wants to be triggered? Let's just heal the triggers.
Yeah.
Yes, acceptance and surrender. But when they layer, it feels like so much.
God, it feels like it's so difficult to surrender. Surrender to what? You know, after a while,
right.
Early on in Jess and I's relationship,
surrender to yourself.
Yeah, right.
Like,
early on in our relationship, I suffered from a lot of religious guilt. and grew up in a family cult. And I know they wouldn't like to identify as that, but it was that this controlling system said, you gotta be a certain way. And so when I went to heal, I said, it's gotta be a certain way. It's this really black and white thinking. You guys might be familiar with that if you've had any kind of strict upbringing. I mean, like it just takes being born, in 1980s to be able to probably experience some of these feelings. But I was getting in recovery groups because I was determined there was something wrong with me, right? And I started realizing over time that what I had in this relationship with Jess, she gives me googly eyes and it's difficult to concentrate. I kept finding that the transparency in our relationship, the ability to be able to express ourselves and then get to the root things, the things that are hard to talk about, was the very first step in actually getting healing. And so, like in probably the first recovery group, I feel like I got most of my healing. It wasn't because of the recovery group. Wish I could have said that, but maybe I don't wish I could have, because ultimately I was receiving healing in this two-way street relationship. And man, Jess, you can speak on this. When you got into helping survivors of trafficking and being able to educate people on this deep level so they could help people,
right?
You had this entirely experience in the world of dealing with trauma, like the clinical approach to this.
Yeah, that was the clinical approach has been huge. The religious thing, been there in that realm too. Yeah, both of us have deconverted from, well, we were both raised in cults, very different cults. Mine was like a Pentecostal casting out demons cult, home church thing.
I didn't get the benefit of all those demons being cast out.
Right. He just got Mormonism. And then we became like evangelical Christians in our adult life, and then left that too.
I don't want to be rude and interrupt, but we consider ourselves LDS, and I don't want to, like, I love Mormon. I love LDS people, but there's sects. Like if you're not familiar with it, there's offshoots of what we call Mormonism. It like started out as something different. There were a lot of offshoots, and so there's a lot of cool things that you can learn from religion. Right. But what I experienced was very secluded. It was very
isolated and different kind.
And when Jess and I just are firm believers that kids should be able to express something different outside of what's presented to them and not be rejected for it.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't like mainstream Mormonism. You were in crazy, outlandish Mormonism, which is a total different thing. The trauma I went through was in AA, made me the work to get sober. Yeah. Yeah, I did AA for 6 months. And it works for some people. I don't happen to be an alcoholic. And I was dry for 4.5 years and don't have a problem with alcohol. And so it really, I did what I needed to do when I was young, because at one point I had a problem with alcohol. Yeah. But what was a problem doesn't always have to be a problem. There are many times in life that we have been fed a load of bullshit. And
I know I was.
Yeah. And that actually comes back around to why I'm not a counselor, why I didn't go to school for this.
Yeah.
Like, because
wow, look at us do this.
Right.
You just brought it right back around.
I know. Look at that. And I had plenty of opportunity to go to school. In fact, I was in school and dropped out because it wasn't that it didn't work for me, although I really hated biology and that totally sucked. But it was that in doing the work, because I was already coaching, already mentoring, and then in school and going, this just doesn't seem right. And I had a number of friends that were counselors and social workers and clinicians, and they all, like, there were these challenges that they had. And then as I started working with trafficking survivors, there were really big problems within the clinical model, and it was by no fault of the clinicians. It's really a problem within the model that was created. And it's that when you go to school, actually back that train a second, I have never met any kind of clinician that went down that career path in an effort to be malicious or mean or like do harm. People become counselors, therapists, social workers because they want to help.
Yeah.
They want to make a difference. Yeah. They want to change lives. Yeah. And every single one that I ever met had their own story.
Yeah.
And they had their own thing that they wanted to heal myself along this journey, and that's why I took this career path.
Yeah.
And that's real. I think that's why so many people become coaches too.
Yeah.
Because they want to help people because they've experienced bad things and they've overcome it and they want to keep going. Yeah. So first, I am not like anti-clinical person at all. In fact, I for them.
I mean,
and
some of our greatest referrals have come from counselors.
Right, and we work in good coordination with them.
Because, I mean, you can go so far with counseling, and the analogy of having one hand tied behind your back is a really good analogy to describe what's going on here. And we were just with some coaches on a podcast recently, and therapists, clinicians. We're talking about our different approaches, and one of them's talking about how over here as a coach, as somebody who can work even with groups as a coach. I'm getting fulfillment from it. Like I can do some cool stuff over here, but there's this thing that really helps in coaching.
Right. So really there's like two fundamental reasons why I chose to not be a counselor. It's one, how healing happens. We have found that when there is a two-way flow of information, stories, relationship, and it's more of a mentorship type coaching relationship, you actually get breakthroughs faster.
Yeah.
Now, the difference between breakthrough and healing is a process, and breakthrough is a paradigm shift, an epiphany. It's something that happens very quickly. Yeah. But within the model of, within the clinical world, it's the posturing of I'm a professional. It's not about me. It's about you. And the flow of information goes from client to therapist, and not so much like some therapists share stories, some share experiences, but when it's at a level playing field and like you're really there to empower and uplift, it changes the dynamic. The second element is mandatory reporting. It was originally designed for something very, very, very good, like to stop abuse. But what happens in reality is that when you first go to your first meemeeting and they disclose that they're a mandatory reporter, there is this problem that happens is that with the worst stories, the worst situations, when something bad just happened or you're feeling suicidal, if you disclose that, then it has to be reported, and then it causes so much more chaos. When, in fact, people come to us because they want to change or they want help. And if you're a reporter, then you can't actually help them without causing chaos for the entire family. And it is amazing because as I've explained that to people, anyone in the clinical world, they always go, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. And it's not the fault of the people. It's the system. And I saw that I could do better work outside of the system.
Personally, yeah.
Which is why we've just taken this path. I want to read Lynn's. I just had a breakthrough. I went through the Oracle Matrix moment, the petri dish, see what was holding me down. I love how AA set me free. Do I want to identify as an alcoholic and live that idea? Fuck no. I got the key in AA, now I'm free. And I've just met you rock stars,
Yes, you have permission. Like I needed to give it to you to be free.
Lynn, that is amazing. That is amazing.
Man, I'm not trying to like relate to validate anything because you like fucking just had this breakthrough, and that is the most incredible thing. Like, like Kool-Aid guy, it's like, it just come through.
He's amazing.
I was actually in a an SA group of all things, and there's not really a lot of SA groups in comparison to
that's
AA
sexual
groups.
addiction.
Yes, and so I was in this group, and there was like every kind of thing, and I was like, I don't know about all of this, but I'm here for this. And I remember walking out and saying, I will never identify as being an addict.
Yeah.
And it's just because it was really confusing, and there was a lot of turmoil in that room. And they were most amazing people. Some of them were like professors. There was all these really badass people in there, right? Mm-hmm. But I just had this epiphany where it was like, do I want to identify as this person? Do I want to be in here for 5-6 more years and identify as this person? Or can I start it? That was actually the beginning of me searching, really searching for my own personal healing and going, how do I want to identify?
Right.
And when I wanted to learn how to identify, I went down to my roots, like where did I come from? Like really, where did I come from? Where did my parents come from? What did they learn when they were kids? Like I just started thinking about it.
Right. Well,
and
yeah,
that epiphany was just like, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am so excited for you. Wow. That is awesome.
It is so amazing. Like, okay. So I want to teach you this analogy that we use really quick because it's so much fun. And it's really just a radical way to self-identify. And being able to be self-aware as to where you're emotionally constipated or you're like blocked somewhere, it's really helpful because so many times we just can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
And when we're looking at ourselves, we're like, I don't know what's wrong. Like it's always just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Boo, I gotta go get jobs. When are we on next? We are
this right here. Next Friday at 6 p.m.
Yep, every Friday at
Pacific
6.
Standard Time. We're here on the West Coast.
And that's on Justin Reed, but we're also in our trauma breakthrough group and we're in the parenting groups. Lynn, I'll send you a message with all of the schedule because
just pop in and say, hi! And we will respond.
Yeah, let us know because we talk a lot.
Who, us?
Yeah. Okay, so we're trees.
Yes.
This is how we self-identify. I'm a tree. He's a tree. Our kids are tree. Look at us. We're all trees.
Figuring out this camera reverse thing.
Right? Yeah, it's a reverse camera. We're trees. Up in our limbs and our fruit are our behaviors.
Yes.
They're all the behaviors, both good and bad. Everything that we do.
For some reason.
Right? It can be addiction. It can be healthy eating. It can be self-harm. It can be self-love. It's all of our behaviors are up in the limbs.
Up here, yes.
And then in our trunk, our core, is our feelings, emotions, and experiences.
You know what's funny? I don't mean to be rude, but feelings are experiences.
And emotions.
Right?
Right? And they're in your trunk. They're covered really thick with bark. And then you go all the way down to the roots. And the roots are the things that you don't know because you don't know because you don't know.
Yeah.
And
it's our programming.
Right? They existed before we were born.
Yeah. It's our programming before we had the programming of our past.
Right. And it comes out in things like boys don't cry or we can't afford that. Like when you hear those things, that's really, really deep programming.
Is there something we need to talk about?
Right. There's all of these deep-rooted things. So what we do and what makes our process so different is that we start with breakthrough. Because so many programs focus on behavior modification. What happens when you trim a tree? It goes dormant for a little bit, and then the same fruit grows back. What happens if you don't trim the tree and you restore the roots? The dead limbs just kind of hang out there for a while. And quite frankly, any of it's okay as long as you get the job done.
Yeah.
And that's how I lost weight. Was I did not trim my tree. I just healed my roots and the weight slowly came off over a period of years.
So over time, it's like the tree just kind of, like the dead limb just got overgrown. You couldn't see them after a while. Right. But there's still that excess.
Well,
so that, or if you will.
No, they just kind of fall off because it just happened naturally over time. It took a number of years for that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, like a tree would.
But if you trim the tree and heal the roots at the same time, you get this radical breakthrough.
Yeah.
But like total life transformation. Yeah. But when you chase your behavior through your core, your feelings and experiences, and all the way into the roots, have your breakthrough, and then turn around and come back up, it makes the healing so much easier.
Yeah.
You finally do it backwards.
You have complete
laughter.
Right. Laughter.
That's what it
You're
is.
You're able to see through the bullshit. Like when I think, okay, let me break it down. We have problems in life. We have these roadblocks. I can't. It's such a strong I can't. Why can't I? Right?
Right.
So here's an example. I was having issues with sexual positions in a relationship. Trigger warning.
We're
trigger
going
warning.
there.
And I was like, maybe it happened somewhere because I had been in a Preppy group, and so I was like, maybe I should trace it back to childhood. So I started looking at my childhood and seeing, okay, there's this abuse that happened when I was 5 years old. I was sexually abused. Maybe that's the crux of everything. And I made a really big deal out of it because you want to get to the bottom of it, right? But then I learned this one tool that changed everything. And it's called why. I want to put a plus sign because it's and. Why and. And so when I started to look and I couldn't find the answer, I was frustrated. But when I asked myself, why?
Right.
Why? I got to the bottom of it. And ultimately, like confidence, like even sexual confidence, especially sexual confidence, starts when we're young,
but
especially if we're abused, right?
Why does it fix it? Why does not
but I'm
fix
not there
it?
Yet.
That's
so
okay.
Here's part of the story. I'm like, okay, so you've got all this pain, right? And what are you going to do about it? I remember just saying, and what are you going to do about it?
And then you got to be pretty ballsy to be able to say
here's the
something
funny
like
part. I didn't get my breakthrough. I've seen it happen a lot easier than me, okay? Like,
wait, it's because
I had to
you
learn
were
the
learning
hard
from
way.
me. It's
I
never
had
easy
to
to learn
learn
from your wife.
the hard way, right? I had to go through all the turmoil. But when I was able to see that the things that actually hurt, that took away my confidence, was not having the support when I wanted to open up as a child. You following me? Like there's these times in our life where we just need that nourishment. We need that encouragement, that nourishment for our roots, right? And that's what changes us. That's what gives us new beliefs. We can literally change our
So where was the actual pain?
So that was the actual pain. It's that I needed my mom. I needed someone I could talk to. When I tried to talk about it, I didn't get the support. And she didn't know. She was in her own pain, so she didn't know how to do it. Like, I don't blame her for that.
Right.
Like, we all do things for reasons. We all have experiences. Mm-hmm. And if we don't believe that we can actually be like okay, more than okay, like happy after that trauma, then we get stuck there. That was my mom. So I had this experience. I tried to open up. The pain was I couldn't. It seems so small. Like if I look at how horrific the incident was that created this need to just be seen and be able to talk about it. But you're right. The root was in something entirely different, because when you ask yourself, and what am I going to do with this? Mm-hmm. It gives you the power.
Yeah.
You're the one in control. And so you're able to go, I think I could change my belief without it killing me.
Right.
Healing really.
It gets so easy suddenly.
If I survive the memory.
If you survive the experience.
The memory's not going to kill you. I'm like, turned around here.
You got this.
Say that again.
If you survive the experience, the memory isn't going to kill you.
So profound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super simple.
Yes, that's a Jessism that I live by.
Is it? Aw, you're sweet. Guys, y'all have been so amazing. I have just loved being here with you. And we are here every single Friday night at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Doing Q&A.
Yes. If you're ready to sign up, do it now. Just DM us right now and we'll talk to you.
Right. We'll talk to you about the program.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce. We love you guys. Bye.
Bye. Have a great night.
Bye. forgot to press all the buttons.